Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.
Hello, everyone. How are you today? Welcome to Sunday and happy Sunday. And I hope you all find happiness, even if you feel it for a moment. Even if you get that feeling of, oh, I don't know what this is. Is this happy? I hope you guys have the opportunity to experience um, a moment of happiness. Now, back in the day, a moment of happiness could also include going to a block party. Those were my favorites of happiness, but I love food. You know, a city run block party. Oh, that brought me so much happiness. Getting an Italian sausage. Oh, can you imagine an Italian sausage big with bell peppers and onions and love? Oh, I've learned that solitude is also happiness. I've learned not being aggravated by people is a form of happiness. I've learned digging my hands in a garden also makes me happy. I've learned that vacuuming makes me happy. Cleaning makes me happy, but I don't like cleaning. But it makes me happy when I'm done. But I do love some vacuuming, child. Ooh, that is like pleasure. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second, guys. I literally have a good cup of coffee, but not hot enough. I gotta heat it up again. So, your assignment this week is to get to that moment of happiness. If it's a good cup of coffee, remember that feeling. If it's playing with your kids, your grandkids, remember that moment. If it's laughing because your kids or grandkids or animal said or did something that was just hilarious to you, you ain't got to post it. You just got to remember that moment. If you and your sister talk and it's warm and fuzzy feelings, or she has you on the floor dying from laughter, remember that. Remember that your assignment this week, not that I gave you assignments any other week, but your assignment this week is find that happy. Not the anger, not the mean, not the sarcastic, and please do not complain, because complaining prevents you from finding happy. Just take a moment and feel happiness. Just a moment. It could change the trajectory of your whole life. I promise you. I promise you. Let me say hi to who's here. Hi, Bree. Vacuuming makes me happy too. Right. Good morning, by the way. Love, miracles, peace, and blessings. And give me one more second while I go get my coffee. Smell it. I'm going to buy something from Sylvester Fashion Art and Tarot Esty Shop. He makes me happy. I wear his clothes all the time and it makes me so happy. Yeah, he makes me happy. All right. All right. I'm just processing inside my head what happiness looks like. Hi, Misbehaving. Isn't that a song, by the way, from a play? Misbehaving. All right. If anyone wants to get a reading with me, I am available today. So to book a reading with me, look at the screen. It says text me 213-458-7408 and subscribe. Subscribe to my channel. And I appreciate you, those that do subscribe. Let me see something. How am I doing with my subscriptions? Okay, it ain't bad. You know what I've noticed, though? I've noticed that YouTube still doesn't like me, and I can't help the love. Um, they still don't like me, but some of my videos are finding their way outside of YouTube's disdain for me. So I'm happy about that. Check out Kim Porter's book. I think part 4 is Missing Some Love. I got part 1, 2, 3, 4 is Missing Some Love. Why is that? Uh-uh. No. 4 was the best one. I really performed on the end of 4 at the last 10 pages. So y'all got to get 4. It was good. Definitely Diddy is getting me more views. Oh, Mama Combs. Oh my God, she got 5,000 views. Yes, Mama Combs, Mama Combs. Uh, okay. My viewership has been up since Diddy, and that's a good thing. And the comments are, let me see the comments. It's a lot of comments. The one on Mary J. Blige, is it over? Somebody says it's over. Oh, to have a playlist. Girl, let me get a playlist together for you, of course. Do you have a playlist of the Kim Porter? I do. She says she's missing part 2. Oh, no, 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 no. Let me get this playlist together today. All right, guys. For right now, we are going to finish up Company and Profits. I think I'm going with Celestine Prophecy. I think if anybody has another suggestion, let me know. Is there a Harriet Tubman movie coming out in December? I think I'm gonna go with the Celestine Prophecy. Don't ask me why. I want to, but if you guys are disappointed with my choices, I can do better. So let me know what you're feeling too. Let's do this as a team. All right, let's start this. Okay, page 211. Hopefully, I am at the right spot, but I don't have a marker and I don't feel like getting up, so I'm going to mark it another way. By the way, I'm in my room with the air conditioning. That's what it is today. Because it's always waking up hot here. Hot. Oh, I need this lipstick. No marker. It's fine. All right, let's get this party started. Oh, let me make sure the settings are good. Audio. Yep, I good. It's not good. Okay, I believe you guys should hear me a little bit better now. Let me move my mic to me a little bit closer. Come closer. All right. Tom sings beautifully, and he doesn't have to learn any tunes. He knows them all. As soon as he began to sing, he sings right along with us. In these words, the slaveholder's child wonderfully described one of the abilities of Thomas Green Bethune. Born as a slave on May 25th, 1849, in the vicinity of Columbus, Georgia, he has been considered a musical medium in metaphysical circles. Blind from birth, he was generally known as Blind Tom. George P. Radwick recorded in the American Slave composite autobiography that Blind Tom's talent for music was evident before he was 2 years old. A piano was brought into the household when he wasn't quite 4, and Tom quickly mastered it. Upon hearing lengthy pieces of music, he was able to reproduce them note for note. And after 5 years, he composed Rainstorm, revealing what he felt the rain, the wind, and the thunder said to him. I want to hear that, Rainstorm. Oh, let me do it. Great. Oh, damn it. All right, I can't. All right. Radwick noted other abilities. He could hear a sermon, political speech, or lecture of any kind and quote it word for word. Another thing Tom could do was feel a piece of cloth and tell the color, or smell the house and tell what was in it. Tom became an acclaimed composer and pianist, performing throughout America and Europe. In dreams, James Thomas received ideas of what he might sculpture in clay. Dreams bring solution to the art problems as well. He needed teeth for his clay figures. He dreamed of using corn. It proved to be a good material. James's uncle Joe showed him how to work with clay as early as 6 years old. He was selling his scriptures around the neighborhood. He brought school supplies, which his family could not afford, with the money earned from his clay squirrels, mules, and rabbits. James Thomas sculpture had been exhibited at the Mississippi Historical Museum and National Folk Art exhibits and at the folk art events around the United States. He was also a blues guitarist, one of the last Mississippi Delta bluesmen of the old tradition. Was always around music because my grandfather played and also my uncle, James explained. My uncle taught me how to make a note on a guitar. That was all. From then, I played by ear. He sings and composes music for the guitar. Sometimes ideas for lyrics come through dreams. From cloud formations and ice, he has spontaneously seen the future. There would be an array of big clouds. You know how the clouds boil up? In them, I could see the future of people coming. I don't tell about it. I just bear out that it is true. When I was flying out of Oslo, I could see the future on the ice. You can't look at it too long unless you have shades because the sun hurts your eyes. Born in October 1924, Yazoo County, James lived in Mississippi all his life as a magician and an artist, and he travels to the United States and goes on tours to Europe. I'm done lodging, caterpillar driving, tractor driving, digging graves, hauling furniture. I've had hard work. I pick cotton. But James emphasized, on the weekend after all that work, it still didn't stop me going with my music on Saturday night. I just want to point out, he said from cloud formations and ice, he has spontaneously seen the future. That is crazy. It would be an array of big clouds. You know how the clouds boil up in them? I can see the future of people coming. I don't tell about it. I just bear out that it is true. When I was flying out of Oslo, I could see the future on that ice. Can't look at it long unless you have shades because the sun hurts your eyes. That's different. I like that. One night in New York, a big black fella over 6 feet tall with muscles just felt like beating someone up. He punched me in the face. I was rolling with the punches. Blood was all over. The next morning I could not see that this had happened to me because there was not one mark. Hmm. The funny thing is, I saw that big black fist coming toward my face, but couldn't feel anything. It never landed. What was he hitting? It was as if I had a shield, an invisible shield between my face and that fist. This was an invisible something taking the blows, not my face. It was with other incidents like this that Pasadena resident Richmond Bart begins his account of some of the miracles from his lifetime. An octogenarian, the famed sculptor speaks of spiritual presence that acts as his guardian. What's an octogenarian? Let me look it up. I love not knowing things and being forced to look it up. Octogenarian. All right, let's see. me make sure I'm understanding what he's saying. Um, Visible, an octogenarian, so he was between 80 and 90. Huh. The Bane sculptor speaks of a spiritual presence that acts as his guardian. I think my guardian angel takes care of me, he explains. It gives you a sense of security to know you are not alone, but taken care of. I was once in New York and had to pick up photographs. I was rushing along the side of the building and suddenly I felt a tug. And a voice said, "Come away from the wall." So I pulled away from the wall and there was an explosion. Potted plant had fallen. I looked up and the man from the fifth floor window to see if it had hit anyone. I was just pulled out the way in time. There was no one on the sidewalk but me. Another time I went to get on a train to New York. A voice said, "There's no one there. Don't get on the train." Usually I listen, but this time I tried to argue. I said, "I don't want to spend the night in Chicago." The voice said, "Don't get on the train." So I said, okay, called the hotel, went there, got in bed, stayed until 4 the next day. When I got on the train this time, the voice didn't tell me not to get on. We were at Dunkirk, Ohio, and the porter said to me, "In a couple of minutes, we'll be coming to the wreckage." I said, "What wreckage?" He said, "Yesterday's train." I looked down in the valley. There was the wrecked train I was told not to get on. I was trembling, so I had to sit down. Earlier in Bart's life, his father and his brother confused over Bart's mystical perspectives and had him committed for a 7-month period in New York mental hospital. It was there Bart experienced what he associated with the loaves and the fishes. The New Testament account of Jesus of Nazareth feeding the multiples with a loaf of bread and a few fish. There were boys in the hospital, and no one came to see them or brought them anything. I had various friends who would send me cartons of Lucky Strike, and also my brother would bring them to me. Those kids smoked. They were young teenagers all day long until they went to bed. I was issuing out cigarettes to those boys. One day my brother called to say he couldn't come down the next day to bring cigarettes. The next day I woke up and had one package left. It would be enough for me, but not for them. So I thought, the only thing to do is to get them out as long as they last. That day, the boys and I smoked as many we did any other day. The next day, my brother came with more cigarettes. The package of the day before still had 3 cigarettes left in it. Where did the cigarettes come from? I'm sure that wouldn't have happened if I refused to give them away. There was no bottom to the package because I was giving them to others. When I looked at that, I said, now I understand the loaves and fishes. That's what happened. He alludes to the miracle of his monetary support. Why should I save up for rain or sickness? Our Father supplies me with all I need. All I have to do is go into my bedroom, sit down and meditate and ask for it. I come out the room knowing that has been taken care of. I don't have to worry about anything. Sometimes it's material things I ask for, like money. I let go of my problem. I don't worry about it, never worry. Several days later, I go to the mailbox and there's money. I need it. from someone I never heard of. They came, they saw my picture in a paper or magazine, and they were sending me a gift. I think those are my miracles. This has been going on all my life, Bob reflects. In my 80s, never had to bother about a nickel. I went to Jamaica for 2 weeks and stayed for 20 years. I left Jamaica when it got too civilized. I went out of the United States 30 years ago. I left Jamaica and went to Switzerland. I stayed there from November till the following April. Then I went to Florence and stayed there until I came here. This time I spent in Jamaica was one of the most wonderful things that happened to me because I got close to nature and began to understand nature. People say it's amazing that I can communicate with animals and insects and birds and things like that. I think it would be amazing if I couldn't. When you stop to think that little body is made of matter from the earth, so is mine. Now, the only spirit that there is only one spirit, and we call that spirit God. Now, if those growing things, animal, flowers, and trees do not have a spirit in them, they would be dead. Any person without the spirit is dead. If our bodies are made of the same matter and the spirit of us is one of the same spirit, it would be amazing if we could not communicate. I've had a good life, very exciting one, Bob commits. And looking over my life, if I had a chance to relive it, I would choose everything that happened, including the bad. It's nice. Let's go over a few things that he said. The loaves and fishes. I remember when I was a kid, I don't know if my dad was living with me at the time, but everybody wanted to come to my house. I know my dad was there, but I don't know if he was visiting. And I said to my dad, we don't have enough food to feed everyone. And my dad said, oh, just make the fish. Everybody's probably not going to come over. And it was fish, now that I think. No, it was chicken. It was chicken. Chicken breast. And he says, oh, just make, I think it was like 4 chicken breasts. Just make the chicken breast. Maybe it was 6. And most likely, everybody says they're coming, but they're not going to show up. And I said, okay. So I made chicken breast. I'm sure I made rice because that's what we do back then. And I'm sure I made a vegetable, but I can't remember. Lo and behold, we had a house full of people. And I just remember feeling petrified. One, it was so typical of me to be the embarrassment of the family. So I didn't want the family to say, oh, we told Tracy we were coming and look at her. She don't keep no food in the house, right? And when the food was ready, I figured when all was said and done, I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't take a plate, right? I figured when all is said and done, I could go up the block and get a pizza, but I just wanted my family to be happy. I wanted to celebrate nothing. I just wanted us to commune together and laugh and joke and be loud, be obnoxious and have fun and play some music. And I wanted the kids to run in and out the house. I wanted that memory. And I've always retained that memory. It's probably one of the last memories. Family just coming over just to be with one another. No complications, no anger. This person not liking this person, dad hating my brothers and, kids just wanting to be in a different place other than home, just so they can run amok. Used to be an expression. Where are the kids? They running amok. And so many people dropped by. My neighbors dropped by. Like, it was a free for all. And I only remember telling people, all right, come eat. The only thing I remember from that day, other than the feeling of good camaraderie, no argument happened, nothing, because that's not typical with my family. An argument always comes out. Nothing happened. We had just plain old good fun. And when it was time to gather the food and put it in Tupperware, right? Because Tupperware is what we did back in the day. I had food and chicken that I could put in Tupperware. And I remember as I was scraping out from the pot, because back in the day we didn't have like big aluminum pans. That wasn't a common thing. Everything was just left in a pot. And I remember thinking, how is there any food left over? Now, there wasn't a lot of food left over, but I could still feed 3, 4 more people. And I looked at my dad and I was like, look at how much food we have left over. And my dad didn't get it, but he was like, yeah, no. And last thing I remember is putting the food in the refrigerator and thinking I had something to eat tomorrow for me and my son. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. Right, just sharing. You know I'll never get that back again, right? I'll never get back family camaraderie ever again. Not that any of us got along, but those moments when it was good. I don't think I'll ever get that. I just have to resign to the fact that the world is my family. And that's a new thought, right? To turn laughter somewhere else and see the beauty in new family. And not be so upset that you'll never get it back, but to appreciate that there was a time when it was there. That's nice. It's kind of like love. You know how love, we all fall in love, and then one day we wake up and the love is one-sided. And we try to maintain the love even though it's clearly one-sided. And that sometimes we just forget that it's okay to let go of a one-sided thing, that if you turn your head, you can create new love. But more importantly, could we look back on past loves and see the happiness that it did bring us for a time, for a moment, for a few months, for a few years. And it's okay when it's no longer being served at the table, served to you. But remember the good and carry on. That's what this feels like when I'm talking about the loaves and the fishes and the gathering of people. Like, as a totality, as a group, we'll never be in a group setting where that the way it was will ever happen again. But we might have to do things differently to feed people. I know Tennessee is underwater. North Carolina, some part, I think they said Western North Carolina, practically gone. No roads. They said that the weather is equal to Katrina. So a modern day version of the fishes and loaves is figuring out if there's a way to send clothes, tampons, Kotex, socks, old shoes to a devastated state. Find your way to information where you could send something, cans, you know. UPS will let you send for $18, they'll let you send something, and you could send cans of beans, ravioli. Ravioli's really good for the kids. I think the governors are devastated. They've never had to deal with Katrina-like tornado effect. So I listen to the governors, and they are like, I don't care what they say, they do not have the resources to save these people. They don't have the resources to feed them. They can't get to them. I don't see any helicopters above. I don't hear it. I don't see it. Where are the people? Are they all gone? There was nowhere to go unless you literally left the state. And did they tell them to evacuate? Did they know to evacuate? The governors themselves? Like, how do you recover from a Katrina? Similar. How do you survive? Will we hear the backstories of survival after this? Because they're still underwater. They've got no cell phone service, nothing. But how can we be the loaves and fishes for others? Now, listen, I'm not being a martyr, right? I can't even think that I'm trying to be something other than I'm looking at the TV and I'm immobile, right? Because I'm thinking, where are the helicopters? You know what I mean? Like, why isn't the governor proving to us that there are helicopters in the air? Why are we not getting those videos? I got videos from Florida, but Florida goes through this so much that they literally, listen to this, they literally have a vehicle that can go in the water and on land and then stretches out and can go up to a door to pick up passengers. I thought that was nice. But them other states, Tennessee don't get hurricanes? Let me see something. Lord have mercy. Let me see what this boy texts me. All right. Does Tennessee get hurricanes? It says Tennessee is hurricane country now. 64 people so far not with us anymore. Are hurricanes common in Tennessee? While not common, hurricanes are not heard of in the East, but it's not common in Tennessee. I think they do get tornadoes, though. That's interesting. Tornadoes. All right. They get tornadoes, but they're not a part of Tornado Alley. They don't get hurricanes, child. And I'm sorry, guys. No one wants to call it. That was a Hurricane 5. Hurricane Helene turned neighborhoods into lakes. Dozens own. 64 born in Florida. So far, 63. They're going to find new one. North Carolina has missing family. All right. I'm being morbid or truthful. Let me see what everybody is saying. Went to Jamaica for 2 weeks and stayed for 2 years. I love this, right? Hi, Creative Soul. Oh, Miss Tracy, you have this feeling again, but it will be with those grandbaby of yours. No, I don't believe that, Bree. I don't believe that. I think that I don't want to make up things for my life. I think that it's okay to be realistic. And I don't believe the family camaraderie. I really don't believe it's ever going to come again. I believe that wholeheartedly. And I'm not sad about it. I'm realistic about it. I think everybody is just too far, and I might get moments. Like, I might get a week with Ezra, but I don't believe that which I had, which wasn't healthy anyway, to be honest with you. My family was not healthy. I only remember the parts of it that made me feel good, right? I don't retain the other part. So it wasn't the greatest dynamic. I was just taking that one moment in time with the chicken and the rice to equate to the loaves and the fishes. and how that moment was a good moment. But I think I'm realistic enough to believe that that family dynamic isn't necessarily going to show up again. And I'm okay with that. It's not sad. It's just true. And that's okay. God still has his design in all of this. And we'll wait. We'll wait on God's design. Whatever that looks like, I don't know. But I'm realistic and I won't deviate from a realistic point of view. And as far as the birds are concerned, well, you guys know where I live. I live in ground doves. They live on the ground. They walk on the ground. They fly and they disappear at night. I don't know where they disappear to. I've also never, ever, ever seen a baby dove. There's no such thing. You'll never see a baby pigeon, a baby dove. Never. These are called brown doves. They're so cute. That's how they communicate like dolphins to me. And they're very protective and very territorial. I know this. So the ones that live on my complex, this belongs to them. But then there's these other breed of doves that come over because my neighbor gives them rice, so they come over to eat, but they don't stay too long. They're more flyers. I'll get a picture of all the doves in St. Croix. So pretty. And then you get the geckos. No, wait, they're not geckos. They're lizards. Everybody keeps trying to explain what the fuck they are. These little bastards keep coming in my house. But I do talk to them now, and I tell them, if you stay in, you die. So you might want to find your way out. And after I explain to them that they're going to die, they are not showing up in my house. I also say it to the ants now who try to like overtake everything. You can't leave shit out. You can't leave an accidental drop of gravy out and think you're going to go back after dinner and clean all that stuff up. Hi, Colin. How you doing? What you up to? Oh, good. I would think you went out to get breakfast already. Where'd you go this morning? Oh, you went down there? Oh, that's nice. Oh, but it's so pretty early in the morning down there. It's pretty. It's pretty early in the morning down there. That's good. That's good. Sometimes it's so nice when nothing's there. The tourist is still drunk from sleeping.
Because last night is Saturday night,
so and they say
everybody's basically sleeping.
I heard the noise. They're drunk and recovering.
Yeah.
So you had the morning to the beautiful water.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I was speaking to a guy down there about
Mm-hmm. Do you ever feed the carp? Is it carp down there?
Huh?
Do you ever feed the carp? Is it carp in the water?
Oh yeah, it's Tapon.
Tapon? Oh, Taupin? Tarpo.
You talking about the fish?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tapons.
Yeah. You know,
They usually they're like but they're not there right now because the restaurant's closed. I guess they know the timing. They most likely be there like maybe midday in the afternoon. You find them there.
Do you know whenever I go down there to eat, I get another bowl of French fries and I feed it to them.
Oh, the fish?
Mm-hmm.
They love French fries.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a fish eating French fries. I guess they'll eat anything.
They will.
Because,
they feed them chicken bones, but I don't like that they give them chicken bones.
Yeah, fish, chicken bones. That's not good.
But they feed the restaurant. Shoop?
Yeah.
feeds them chicken bones.
So that means that those fish really don't chew.
Mm-hmm.
They bite. They take flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Swallow. That's how
They swallow. Yeah.
So if they get a fish and chicken, well, they want to kill them or something.
I don't know.
They get chicken. Chicken bones. When you crush them, they become very sharp.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they get into your intestines, into your stomach, puncture them, and kill them.
I don't think it's right, but I asked one of the workers, and he was like, "Oh, we feed them chicken bones all the time."
Really?
Idiot people. Mm-hmm.
Chicken.
Yeah. But I give them French fries. I get a whole separate plate just for them.
Oh, yeah. These are big. These are like big. So like
They're huge.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, those are top ones. Those they are predators. They're predator fish.
Are they really?
That's right. They are predator fish.
Oh, I had no idea.
Oh yeah. They're like, matter of fact, they almost look like sharks.
They're huge. Yeah.
Almost look like sharks.
Yeah.
Just the way they streamline.
Yes.
And they do have some sharp teeth.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And even they look docile. They're quick.
Mm-hmm. How come nobody eats them?
They're moving, man. They're quicker than a barracuda.
No, they are huge, and yet you're right. They move very quickly. You know how I watch them when I throw a French fry in the water?
Yes.
They snap it up, and boom, they're gone.
Oh,
Because they're competing with one another.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're very aggressive, though. I've seen them in action at night. They normally feed at night.
Mm.
During the day, they're very quiet.
Mm.
And even the reef sharks,
Mm-hmm.
the same way, too.
Mm.
During the day, you see them, they're basically just napping, really. They're just cool, you won't think at night.
Mm-hmm.
Those fish, those reef fish, don't be out at night.
Hmm.
Because those sharks are ravenous.
Mm.
They-
Right.
I've seen them at night go on the water and put a flashlight on them.
Yeah.
And if they see the fish going on, they. And then as for the tapon, like
Mhm.
barracuda,
Mm-hmm.
they hunt at night too, and they would hunt if you have a light down, you're looking at stuff. They will come behind your head and observe what's going on. I've seen that. I've seen that with a barracuda.
Oh my God.
I've seen the barracudas can be very large.
Mm.
And they hunt at night and looking and searching and stuff. And the barracuda is nothing to mess with.
Yeah.
Nothing to mess with.
Yeah.
What's the nice dinner?
Praise God. Praise. It's been so hot.
Yes, well, everybody's complaining about it.
I'm
It's gonna be
dying.
like this until the end of October.
I know.
Yeah.
But we're getting some good days now, so.
Yeah, the evenings are cool now.
Mm-hmm. Thank God.
Like you can see at night, you see dew falling. So,
Mm-hmm.
so
Hmm.
okay.
So dew falling makes for coolness. That's how you could tell cool air is happening. Oh, I love knowing that. I learned so much here. All right, I'm gonna go and get back to work. Bye. She was a woman of strong character and unusual intelligence. So said Booker T. Washington in his biography of Frederick Douglass about Douglass' maternal grandmother, Betsy Bailey. There are many things she could do uncommonly well, such as gardening, and her good luck at fishing was proverbial. She was also famed as fortune teller, and as such was sought out wide and far by all classes of people. I want that. I mean, I have that, but I I want it more. Blanche Collin picked up people's thoughts like that. Her youngest daughter, when a toddler, made her realize that she wouldn't talk, but she chose to preserve in silence until her mother read her mind. I read vibrations. People automatically feel better when they come to me. I am a troubleshooter. If something is wrong, I'll bring it up. Sometimes I write or just talk to the person. The Lord will break down my language so I can talk to a professor or to a moron. As she detects confusion of energy around an individual, she identifies the discord, thus allowing the process of healing to start. While doing reading, she writes down thoughts received from the person's vibrations. She may have the individual meditate on the Lord's Prayer, or she may read the Bible. She uses spiritual counseling, dream interpretation, automatic writing, psychometry. The methods vary in accordance with the individual's personality. Claiming no special powers of her own, Blanche explains, it's God's work. God does it all. I do really feel we are all endowed by God's gifts. Blanche comes from a strong Catholic background. Having attended Catholic school, she relates a personal baptism of spirit between 1964 and 1967, during which she overcame the loss of a child and broken marriage. I learned lessons and wanted to show them to people. I drove up and down the coast evangelizing in bars and in groceries. I learned my mind was a house, and I cleaned house. I forcibly pulled negative thoughts out my mind and replaced them with positive ones. We were just talking about that this morning, weren't we? Like the ability to remember happy moments when there's a separation of sorts. Remember the happy. The day I gave myself to God, He gave me the peace and power to do what I needed, she reflects. I have been through difficult trials I must pass to go higher. Oh, hell no. Nope. 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 I'm tired. I am tired of so-called difficult trials so I can go higher. Nope. Nope, the buck stops here today. Not doing it anymore. Done. Done. I just want happy, and I want peace, and I want love, and I want to be okay, and I don't want any stress. I'm not going through any more trials and tribulation to get higher. Not happening, God. I'm out. And then God slams me on the ground. My gift of faith, healing, teaching, counseling is strong. I'm getting into lecturing now. My purpose is to help teachers and leaders who are now coming to me. Blanche advises, clean up oneself. Don't look into other people's negativism and complain about it. Get one's own mind clear. Now, this is interesting, right? Because the culture that I live in general, well, I don't want to say that. I think every culture loves gossip. That's where telenovelas and soap operas, happens. I think it's all cultures, to be honest with you. Even though soap operas, but they're based upon true stories, right? And I think right now our biggest thing, which isn't really a cultural thing, because I'm finding that P. Diddy just didn't discriminate. He didn't discriminate. He went after all cultures. But the salacious details of P. Diddy. And it says here, clean up oneself. Don't look into other people's negative. Complain about it. Get one's mind clear. So when something like P. Diddy is here and I focus on it, I'm only focusing on it because any other time I don't feed myself negativity, right? I look into happy thoughts for myself and my television. So I don't watch scary movies that could stress me out. I don't watch the news anymore. The news stretches me out. I can't do it. I've never seen 60 minutes and 55 minutes of it is murder, mayhem, robbery, da da da. Oh my God, every channel. So I had to turn away from the news. And now that I said that, the news is going to come back on. Because I turned away from the news and I was like, never watching the news, da 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 da. And then YouTube only showed me the news. Fuck out of here. But they're off my radar now. But now that I mention it, watch, they're gonna come back. We can't stop the ugly, like the magnitude of the P. Diddy drama. And by the way, so much more is coming out. I think right now they said they're up to 50 lawsuits, but that's just a drop in the bucket. So much more is coming out, child. Child. Yeah. So much more is coming out. And we can't ignore this mess because if we ignore it, somebody else will become a Diddy regardless. Diddy was an Epstein. So we have to look into it. It's the only way to awaken and open our eyes to the potential of what it looks like to get caught out there. So that means, does that mean partying is over? Does anybody think we won't party anymore? Because cameras are everywhere now. Everywhere. Everybody got cameras in their homes now. So that means partying won't happen. I know the music industry is dead. And so much more is coming out of the music industry. This is the beginning. The rabbit hole is ugly down there. So in between doing videos on Diddy and trying to stay ahead of the truth and what they're feeding us, I give myself calm and peace. Talk to the birds outside. I let them know I'm in their territory. I'm grateful to be partnered with them. And that's it. I watch other bloggers to see what they're saying, but a lot of bloggers copy one another. So sometimes I watch them so I could do a reading that is of the same category but different. But I still feed myself love, kindness, peace, a good cup of coffee, silence. I feed myself silence. Yeah, I do. All right. Don't look to other people's negativism and complain about it. Get one's own mind clear. I'm looking back on spiritual progress in this lifetime. I see the most important thing was finding peace within myself. I just said that. Finding peace. That's nice. exciting from one exiting, oh, Lord have mercy, from one workday in 1954, Wilda Mays, a longtime San Francisco Bay Area resident, arrived at the elevator coincidentally with the middle-aged white man. He stood with ease. He stood with ease of one confident and familiar with the setting, but she could not recognize him as amongst her co-workers. Many early evenings after that, as she was leaving for home, he appeared. They were always the only. They were always the only ones. They were oh, They were always the only ones waiting for the elevator. Others passed them, seeming to choose to leave by the stairs, not noticing. Neither physical speech or physical gesture was ever exchanged. From the beginning, his presence caused Wilder's problems to dissipate. Thoughts were transferred. He apprised her of the exact headlines. He apprised her of the exact headlines of the next day's newspapers or future events at work and home. These things then happened as he had indicated. Under his tutelage, she knew the truth of things beyond the scope of earth, things she had long forgotten. She reclaimed that which was her own from amongst these spiritual truths and integrated them into her being, and she felt a growing calm and integrity. And that year after they met, she began speaking in a learned way about metaphysical subjects of which she had never thought or read about. She could also sense people's thoughts, their feelings, and feel their pain. She became aware of her abilities to see through walls in both faces without her body. With sudden insight, one day Wilda realized the man by the elevator had never been in physical form at all, who was of spirit. It was revealed that he was an ascended master who had chosen to work with her to revitalize her spirituality. Through her astral travels, Wilda had become acquainted with other aware beings in varied parts of the world. She is especially aware of alliances with beings in Cairo and in Washington, and has been recognized as appearing by people who live there. Oh, that was a little strange. Not that what she was experiencing was strange. It just, sometimes I read something and I have no clue what I'm reading. I swear. But hopefully you got it. I have to say I've never had a experience that I can clearly tell you about with an astral being. I have never had an experience where I knew it or where they told me who they were. I could only believe that they're there. That's what I want to believe. That they're just there, but no one's ever introduced themselves to me. In human form, but they're there. I believe. They have to be. Okay? I would think. In 1968, 3 o'clock in the morning, July the 5th, the spirit woke me up and said, carve wood. Needing work and over 70 years old, Jesse Aaron had prayed that God might reveal a new trade to him. I got up 3 o'clock in the morning, got me a box of oak wood, and went to work. The next day or two, I finished it. Aaron, born in 1887 in Lake City, Florida, was selected for Visual Arts Fellowship in 1975 by the National Endowment for the Arts. His sculpture now has been presented widely in folk art exhibits. He is exhibited at the Art Gallery at the University of Florida in the town of Gainesville, where he made his home. He most often carved from cedar and cypress because those woods naturally suggested human and animal forms to him. Aaron once professed, God put faces in the wood. Now, I do have a story on the faces in the wood. I went to Jerusalem, and Jerusalem has a thing where they stack limestone one on top of the other. And I can tell you there are faces in every single one of those limestones. Every single one. I have a picture of the limestone, but I have to go back and find it. There are faces in every scene. And I was looking, and I was with a group of like, God knows, 50 people. And I was like, do y'all see the faces in the limestone? So I get this. God put faces in wood. It's so pretty. So pretty. I like that. David Butler cuts and folds metal into flying elephants, lizards, fish, dogs, and trains, which he then paints. Biblical scenes are one of his sculpturing themes. His yard in Patterson, Louisiana, is filled with his creations. He says he usually receives his ideas fully formed in dreams, like Jane Livingston and John Beardsley in Black Folk Art in America, 1930 through 1980. Born in 1898, Butler was in his 40s when he began sculpturing. It's nice. Kim McMullen says she was introduced to metaphysics by her father. After his military stay in Korea, father came home a Buddhist. I was about 8 years old. He came home believing in reincarnation, saying he wouldn't eat any meat. This was Texas. Everybody had steaks. He said we were going to meditate. This was 1967. We couldn't talk about it to people. It was real important for him to find some kind of spiritual awakening. He was a Rosicrucian and had been a Rosicrucian by then for a couple of years. And it was just so important for him to develop his soul. I like that. When I was 60 years old, I was afraid of death. I was scared that I was going to die and leave my family. And it was very hard on me. And after my father came back from Korea, he said, "You don't die. We don't call death death anymore. You transition. You don't die. One door closes and another one opens. When you're a little older, I'll explain reincarnation to you. Meanwhile, just believe that death doesn't happen to you. I like that. Kim recounts, my worst experience was around 8 years old. I remember going to bed at night and all these people in white robes came. And they said, we're taking you home now. And they would start taking me toward this planet. And I just started screaming, I don't want to go. They would say, this is home. My father always told me, if you get in a situation you don't understand, you just say, I am a child of God. I'm a child of God. So I started saying that and they disappeared. And they never came back again. I like that. Kim McMullen is the author of Voyages, a play about reincarnation, which she produced and directed 2 times in the San Francisco Bay Area. I got interested in the whole writer role about the age of 11. I told my mother I was going to become a famous writer. I mostly write about theater and my experiences in theater and my experiences in human relationship. I love writing about relationships, how people interact with each other, how they develop through those interactions. I love working with words, not so much words, but the communication, the subtlety of communication that goes on. I guess that's why I decided to be a playwright. I think I'm good at language and communicating at an easy flow. I'm not a poet, but Voyages is mostly poetry. I never studied poetry. I wanted to write quickly what I felt, so I wrote what I felt, and it came out like poetry. I also wrote about relationships because I find that from the past, I'm feeling like I'm not part of anything, but more an observer. I go toward relationships as an observer, and I want to be loved. I think we're all searching for love. The playbill synopsis describes the production. Voyages is a series of vignettes composed of poems, monologues, dialogues, and reincarnation, chronicalizing a soul's journal. Dancers and actors of the soul's past lives, the painters on the stage during the entire show through art, documents their universe. Everything the characters have ever done or out of the human form is being painted by him. The musicians give rhythm to the universe. The theme of rebirth is being explored through the creative tools of mixed media, allowing the characters to go through their pain in order to come out whole through the rebirthing process. Basically, a lot of Voyages is my voyage. It's my voyage because it's been things which can happen to anyone, which could happen to me. I got real scared. I couldn't believe I did it. People came by after the show telling me how seeing the show changed their lives. One lady came to see the show every night. She was in a wheelchair. She was saying the show for her was just like going to church. A later project was Kim's writing of a screenplay on Atlantis, whose main character is an intergalactic space traveler named Persephone. She heals different universes. She goes around with a pet lion called Eon. He can dematerialize whenever he wants, and he's a healer to the animal kingdom. I was talking about Persephone. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, guys. And she became so real that one night I was writing about her and I fell asleep. The next thing you knew, I thought I was awake, but there was this lion in bed with me. He thought I was his best friend. He was curled up against me, sleeping on the loft. I don't know how I got in the loft. I got out the loft, quickly got in the middle of the floor, wondering what to do with this lion. He seemed pretty safe. He seemed like a nice lion. I realized when I woke up that I'd been concentrating so much on Persephone that materialize her pet lion in my dream. Persephone seemed like she had always been around. She really cares about the universe and the world. She had a fall from grace. She's not from this planet. When she first came down here, she was a vapor. And then she turned into human form because of what she did. It's a real detailed screenplay. She's the favorite of all my characters. I feel really close to her. Writing a play about racial problems around a reincarnation thing is amongst Kim's plan. For this work, she describes a spiritual being who, over a succession of lifetime, experiences life as an African American and then as a white person. Each lifetime having its own problems and pains related to race issues. A lot of my stuff comes in dreams. I use dreams and I meditate and I ask my questions. And I feel I have a high degree of intuition. Dreams help me a lot. I figure out things from dreams and then I figure out things from my meditation. I ask myself a question about what is happening. What is happening? I've always felt metaphysics and my life kind of went hand in hand. Kim pauses for a moment, then continues. What I want to educate people on is a sense of letting go, such as letting go a sense of myself as stuck in little me, this body, this power, this person, towards more of a universal attitude towards life. More of a loving attitude which people should have towards themselves and the universe as a whole. The gift of teaching. I look to this September every year when my students enter my classroom. I was able to discern many things about them. Looking in the eyes of each student, I could tell what their talents and interests and disabilities were. Retired teacher Elizabeth Toll describes aspects of her psychic abilities which she applied to education. Having discerned the nature of each student, she worked with them toward gaining competence and confidence in themselves. She assigned classwork on an individual basis according to what the student was capable of doing in that subject. I taught the first grade, she relates. I could tell what the problem was with the children. I helped other teachers where a child had talent. The children in my classes all made high grades, so supervisors were sent to my classes to observe me. I knew what the children were doing when I got out the room, she smiles. On these occasions, much to the students' chagrin, Elizabeth would return and designate what rules were broken, who were the offenders. Another one of her techniques she shares, I always told kids to pray before a test. I like that. With this ability to be a psychic attunement with individuals and situations enhancing her teaching mission, Elizabeth taught elementary school for more than 32 years. After retiring from teaching in 1975, she worked as a counselor. Worked as a counselor for the Vocational Educational Department of the state of Tennessee. A majority of her work consisted of holding workshops for teachers. Her educational assistance later extended to 2 colleges and universities. I talked to students there and would help them discover what to major in. Amongst other local honors, her educational career culminated in her receiving the Outstanding Teacher of the Year award. I was raised by my aunt, Elizabeth continues, and later a stepmom. Finally, my aunt realized there was something different about me. In college, I was conscious of using my gifts all the time in school, but I wasn't aware of what it was. I had a friend, Delma Green, who was a teacher. She encouraged me to use my gifts openly, right? while I was in college. Elizabeth's services have not been limited to education alone. She has counseled individuals regarding their personal lives and businesses since 1945. She is also a known prophet. Participating in educational community projects such as volunteering has been a high priority. She works with senior citizens. She helps organize a law and order club in South Memphis and served as its first president. One of the club activities was providing anti-drug information and counseling. In 1969, she donated half of a commercial building to the city of Memphis to be used as a community center in South Memphis neighborhood with a high crime rate. The center's programs have included library, tutorial service, a junior police club, an office for the Youth Employment Service, Public Assistance Service program, and sports program. Elizabeth Toles continued to live in Memphis, where she has been a recipient of several citations from the mayor. Governor Wallace of Alabama made an honorary lieutenant governor in 1974 in recognition of her community contributions. As a child, Elizabeth lost her sight several years ago. She believes she may have developed other senses to compensate for her blindness, such as her psychic abilities. I thank God for the gifts I have, she says, and I'm able to explain how my God-given gifts work. I just circled one part in the last passage where she had a friend, Delma Green, who was a teacher, and she encouraged her to use her gifts openly. I do want to encourage people to start using and speaking of your gifts more openly. I don't know how that can be done depending upon where you live and how you live and how long you've been hiding. But I often meet up with people who are begging the universe to let them have a different experience because they are spiritual people, but they're surrounded around people that won't believe in their gifts if they were to speak it out loud. So I just want to offer up that if anything is going to change, the change has to come from you. Believe it in yourself. Speaking more freely without fear of being reprimanded. You might get reprimanded. I get reprimanded all the time, child. I just shrug my shoulders and continue talking about my gifts. And I watch the fear of people when they see that I'm like, oh, well, oh, yeah, I hear you. But it's my gift, so it is what it is. And they do move away from me. And that's okay. I've decided I am who I am. I'm Popeye. I cannot stop who I am. And that means I'm a psychic. And that's okay. All right. Seriously ill in her early 30s, Terrell decided to risk surgery rather than spend her life as an invalid. I was lying in a bed of the private hospital waiting to be taken to the operating room. I was praying fervently to live. Did not want to die. I promised God that if my life was spared, I would devote it to the service of those who needed it most. Suddenly, I felt a presence near my bed. I opened my eyes and literally saw the Savior standing beside me, separated from me only by a small table. I looked at him just as I would have looked at a human being. He seemed perfectly natural, seemed perfectly natural for him to be standing there. He assured me that all would be well with me. He smiled at me as a father would smile at a child in a grip of terrible fear whose terror he wished to dispel. From that moment, I felt perfectly sure I would recover from the operation and get well. In her 1940 autobiography, A Colored Woman in a White World, teacher and early civil rights leader Mary Church Terrell wrote of being aware of the psychic constitution in her life. Terrell was born in 1863 in Memphis, Tennessee. She taught at Wilberforce University in Ohio between 1885 and 1887. In 1885, she was twice appointed to the Board of Education in Washington, D.C. Probably the first American woman to hold such a post. She taught in the district from 1887, serving a total of 12 years. She was active in the human rights movement and the first president of the National Association Colored Women, founded in 1886. She was an energetic supporter of the NAACP, helping to organize and participate in demonstrations and litigations for racial equality. What made her her greatest achievement was her leadership in desegregating Washington, D.C. restaurants, which occurred by court decision in 1953. Wow. Oh, she lived a long time. She was grown in 1885 and 1887. All my life, I've been conscious of something within me which enables me to feel things which were coming to pass. At times, without knowing why, I've been very wretched, and after a while, I would discover that something deleterious to my family or myself had occurred during that period. Once, when I was a girl, about 13 years old, I cried all day one Saturday without knowing why. No girl in town was gayer than I. As a rule, I ran and played and climbed trees and sang wherever I had the chance. But this particular Saturday, I intended to spend the afternoon with one of my friends, but I felt too unhappy to go anywhere. Sometime afterwards, I learned that my dear mother had been in serious trouble and had been treated very badly that day. All right. Some of these stories just end. It just ends. So sometimes it leads up and it just stops. So I'm sorry about that, but this is the way of the book. And I think sometimes the author who devised these stories completed something in her head, but didn't know how to wrap the storylines into an ending. Because the stories were so true to life, it's not like she was making it up to get us to an end of feeling good and really understanding that the gift, like in this story, like the ending, getting us to understand that the girl crying this particular Saturday, like the words end abruptly is what I'm trying to say. Instead of, I'm not trying to teach anyone how to write a book, I promise you, but I do notice that sometimes there's a disconnect in the stories. Does anybody else notice that, or is it just me? All right. I'm going to stop here, if that's okay with you. Page 223. I'm going to stop here. Let me know your thoughts on the book We are moving forward with another book. I think it's going to be the Celestine Prophecy. I know we talked about Harriet Tubman, but I think I changed my mind on that. But if anyone knows a good Harriet Tubman book, I would be glad to do it instead. All right, everyone, happy Sunday. I have my candle class today at 3. So let me know what you thought about today's story. Oh, you're welcome, Bree. Thank you for your time, too. And anybody else that's listening or listens after the show, thank you. Thank you. And I love you. And if you want to call me for your own personal reading, I am available today. Just look at the screen. To book a reading, text me 213-458-7408 and subscribe. Please subscribe to my channel because there's so much coming out with P. Diddy. And all of these stories have legs. And they all go down a new path of people. So, let us together dissect this rabbit hole. More importantly, so that this shit can never happen again, ever. But we got to understand how we got here. And the music industry is disgusting. It's racist. It is meant to make the Black man feel empowered, the woman feel less than. It is so bad, it has worked so well that it's hard to find a Black man that would say something nice about Kamala, the VP, the president. And we need help. And the exposure of P. Diddy is the beginning of restructuring and understanding how we were all taught to act a certain way against ourselves. And how easy it is to take a poor person and make them do things because the end result is money and fame. And now we know to get to that money and fame, it's through hell. Degradation, hatred of women, children, themselves. There's no way P. Diddy could have liked himself. So subscribe, because there's so much to unravel, and we want to get there together. Metaphysically, we want to get there together. All right, guys. Love you. Take it easy. Bye.
Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy